Everybody who has seen Avatar knows how great of a role model Uncle Iroh is. But what is it about this lovable, goofy uncle that makes him the father everyone wishes they had? Is it his kindness, his humor, his support, his spirit, or his tea? I've watched all of Avatar more times than I can count, and I've realized while all those things do make Uncle Iroh a good father, what makes him the pinnacle of not only masculinity but also fatherhood is how he makes you feel safe. Uncle Iroh is the definition of unconditional love. He supports Zuko no matter the situation and does everything he can to help guide him to choose the right path. Even when he's betrayed by Zuko and abused by him, he is never angry or resentful at Zuko. He's only sad and afraid that Zuko has lost his way. This unconditional support is more than just one action, wise words being spoken, or one experience. It is the embodiment of Uncle Iroh as a character, and it's what makes him the ideal father. Fathers provide for us. They give us a home and all the physical things we need, but they often leave us emotionally empty. They take care of the car, but never take care of our hearts. They work hard, but rarely give us their time. This is what it was like for me growing up, and that's why when I watch Avatar The Last Airbender and I see the way that Uncle Iroh treats Zuko, it makes me want that feeling I've never felt before. That feeling of unconditional support and love. Every boy who has ever felt lost needs someone who loves them through their mistakes and helps to guide them towards the right path. But this is often what's missing from the life of lost boys. And when you see how Ozai treated Zuko versus how Iroh does, it's no wonder why so many families are broken and kids are left desperate for validation from their father and never receive the love they needed to grow up kind and at peace. Without a strong father figure like Uncle Iroh, boys are left feeling neglected, desperate for guidance, and aimless. You see this with Zuko from the first two seasons. His entire motivation and purpose for life is to capture the Avatar to finally gain his dad's approval. He thinks it's to restore his honor, when really it's because he wants his father's love. This is the sort of conditional love that controls Zuko and so many of us in our relationships with those around us. We think that for us to be enough, we need to be validated by others. Uncle Iroh never makes Zuko feel like he isn't already enough. Despite all the mistakes and failures, Uncle Iroh is always there to support Zuko and to push him to find his own answers for life, instead of doing what his father and everyone else around him expects him to do as the Fire Nation prince. He helps Zuko to define his own honor. Without that support, Zuko would have spent his whole life chasing something that never would have fulfilled him. All Uncle Iroh ever wanted was for Zuko to find his own destiny and see the light in even the darkest moments.
In the darkest times, hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength.
Ozai wanted something completely different. For Zuko to obey him absolutely. Zuko isn't cruel or power hungry like his dad is, and for that, he sees Zuko as a failure. This form of parenting puts the kid in a box, and every time they don't conform to the shape of that box, the parent punishes them and tries to force them back in so that they fit into their expected identity. But that's not the role of a good father. A father shouldn't force their child to be someone, to punish them when they fail, or to set expectations for who they need to be. A father's role is to guide and model what strength, character, and humility looks like. Children learn from how they see their fathers act, when they see them play with them, when they're angry at them, when they're happy with them. A father's actions will always speak louder than any values they ever express through words. What makes Uncle Iroh such a strong father figure to Zuko is because of all of his mistakes and regrets from his life. From how he was a warmonger to how he lost his son, Uncle Iroh's life is not without his regrets and failures as a man to do the right thing, which is what makes him the perfect model for Zuko. Being able to teach Zuko not from a place of superiority, but from a place of understanding, the exact opposite that Ozai comes from when he tries to teach Zuko. Uncle Iroh's tale of Ba Sing Se is one of my favorite examples of Iroh as a father. This episode starts with him preparing for a special picnic when he sees a crying baby and sings to calm the boy down, even letting him tug on his beard, showing that he isn't afraid to act a bit silly to make someone else happy. Then he tells a group of boys to run away after breaking a window, showing that even his wisdom has its limits and actions are necessary. But the most impactful person he helps that day is his would-be mugger after he runs into an alley. Uncle Iroh sees how confused this thief is in life and sits down with him, giving the thief more than all the money in the world could have bought him. A genuine conversation with someone who cares. They sit and talk for the entire day, and the thief leaves the conversation with clarity, faith, and the belief that he will make his dream of becoming a masseuse come true. All thanks to Uncle Iroh just sitting down and listening to him. When we get to the end of the day, we see that although he was able to help so many people, he's still haunted by his biggest failure in life, his failure to save his son. Uncle Iroh's tale of Ba Sing Se shows us who he is outside of being Zuko's wise uncle. He wanders the street helping everyone he can. That's the type of man that Uncle Iroh is, and I loved how the episode showed him helping everyone he could, even the people he once tried to conquer. But the light that he brings to the world comes from a deep place of sadness and pain for him. It's something that won't heal no matter how many people he helps. His regret of losing Lu Ten to a senseless war and not realizing sooner that the violence he puts him in wasn't worth any honor. Everything Iroh does for Zuko comes from him not wanting Zuko to repeat the same mistakes and failures, living a life filled with regret the way he did. Uncle Iroh is not a perfect person. But what we need when we are lost is for someone to understand our struggle. Not someone who's perfect and has all the answers, just someone who's able to sit with us. It doesn't feel good when someone tells us how we should live our lives, even when all they want to do is help us. It feels degrading for someone to force their answers and way of life on us. Uncle Iroh is the definition of being gentle, always kind and caring, even when he's being strict. When he yells at Zuko, it's not about him telling Zuko how to live or to make him feel guilty, but for Zuko to find his own answers and stop being a slave to the destiny that other people have forced on him. Men often get hated on in the real world when we fail. The thing that society tells us is that it's our fault and our responsibility to fix the mistakes we've made. Men also feel the weight of responsibility on them. They feel that it's their duty to do everything themselves. We're told that our lives are our responsibility, and while this gives us the freedom to change our lives, it also puts the weight of every mistake and failure we experience on our shoulders. This is what Zuko goes through. He feels that his scar and his banishment were his fault and his responsibility to fix. Even though it was an entirely cruel act by his father, he believes it's his responsibility to regain his honor. Although Zuko took it for granted, having Uncle Iroh side by side with him through his entire time while being banished is what helped him get through it without losing hope. What would it feel like for you to have someone by your side through your tough days, when you feel that the responsibility of every mistake in your life is yours alone? Were you able to turn to your dad or ask for advice during these times? Or have him there by your side while you figured things out? All of us have a father, but not all of our fathers are like Uncle Iroh. I'm not saying we should compare our fathers to this perfect cartoon character that doesn't exist, but we should be able to learn the lessons that Uncle Iroh as a character represents. Because the truth is that while we may have grown up watching this show, wishing we had an Uncle Iroh in our life, we can also learn to be more like Uncle Iroh too. Whether it's being kinder to ourselves or those around us. Uncle Iroh's spirit is something that we all need more of. Not everything you're going through in your life is your fault, and even if you feel like you've made the worst mistakes, there's always the hope that tomorrow can be different. That's what Uncle Iroh represents. The belief and hope of the best possibility for others and also for ourselves. It's what he gave to Zuko because after everything he went through, he was always there to support Zuko and help him become a better man. And although we might not have the Uncle Iroh we wish we had in our lives, we can learn from his spirit, from his actions through the show, and learn to treat ourselves with a little more kindness and to also have hope that things can get better. Iroh is always there for Zuko. When Zuko was first banished and lost his honor, his home, his family, the person who stood by him through everything was Uncle Iroh. Not out of duty, but out of love for his lost nephew. Even though he couldn't do anything for Zuko at that moment, he never left him alone. And that's all that good fathers need to do. Just stand there by their son, even when they are entirely lost in the world.